Our stories, our plans, our destiny, comprehensive community planning told by us. Osawa Kinu Kiesis, Fishing Lake First Nation. Arlene Panay, Cody First Nation. Jasna Gamble, Yapes, Beards and Okamasas Cree Nation. Camellia Wolverine, English River First Nation. Robert Cody, Cody First Nation. Terry Campbell, Birch Narrows Dene Nation. Ronnie Netmaker, Big River First Nation. J.C. Brass, The Key First Nation. John MacArthur, Pheasant Rump, Nakota First Nation. Trina Sear, Pasqua First Nation. Jesse Gerard, Muscodet First Nation.
Take it away, well then maybe all this progress, all this forward momentum that we've created, is this going to get, like it might get lost, and then so in the future we'll have to start over again. So it's important to have that funding in place so that we can always have that downhill forward momentum, so we're always building up speed.
We have that living document in our community now, so we will continue to use it because it's working for us, because that's what comprehensive community planning is. It's about building capacity in your community, right? So we have that momentum. I know that will continue. But one of the things that it's the other communities that did not have the opportunities, right? We have over 600 nations in Canada that need this kind of long-term investment. And if you're investing in a program for 30, 40 years or forever, you're gonna see so much development in our communities. You're gonna see empowerment, you're gonna receive dividends on every front. Every spoke of that planning wheel, you're gonna see results. Like, you're gonna see people graduating at alarming rates, and that's what we want, right? We want to build up our people.
There's no set process. It's kind of, whatever works for you in your nation, right? And how you're gonna get there is up to you. Because we're so used to the government saying, okay, here's some money, but this is this is how you're gonna have to spend it, right? This way, this way, this way, and you're gonna have to provide this, this, and this. And with the CCP process, the CDI initiative, I like that we're able to determine how we get there on our own. So I'm sure because of that, there'll be more positive or favorable outcomes as a result of that.
They said it must be community-led planning. Here's your budget. I look forward to the accomplishment. And that's a great approach from Government of Canada. And that is what is allowing us to be as effective as possible, as responsive as possible, and as engaged as possible, because it's no one cookie cutter approach. And that has empowered us to be community champions to, number one, think outside the box, and number two, work outside the box, because we're not being in that box anymore. We're being creative. We're being ourselves in our communities with our members, no matter local or at a distance, and saying, hey, this work has to start today. We're starting today. We're going to keep it going. This momentum's going to build. So the momentum is so important, and that's where continued long-term investment from Government of Canada will be a crucial part of this, because we have gone a good distance down this journey, but it's only the beginning of a journey of reconciliation, recovery, reestablishing our homes and our communities, our economic development opportunities. So we're just starting this journey, and Government of Canada definitely can invest in us and see the huge payoffs, not just in our communities, but outside of our community as well, from coast to coast to coast. We're all unique Indigenous tribes out there, so this is such a good approach to helping prosperous times start developing today.
This process of the community navigators and continued funding is actually part of the healing process.
Investing in the future of our communities, like building up our kids and building healthier communities, and this is like a big investment in the future of our communities, healthy communities.
Pasco was talking about an integrated service delivery, and it was being led by Town Family Services, and I was so excited about this. Like, I was so excited because all these different departments were going to come together and work together to help these families, right, to keep the kids in the home. And things just didn't work out the way they were supposed to because our different departments are so used to working in isolation, doing their own thing and stuff. So yes, like as navigators, it's important for us to try to bring those departments together, because we need to constantly remind ourselves that the people who are employed at the band, like we're there to provide support to our people. We don't work for chief and council, we work for the people. The same way the chief and council are supposed to be working for the people, right?
We have very capable people on our membership lists. However, they're pretty much preoccupied with their careers off reserve already because they have that job security. So I think part of being navigators, we need to identify both to our government, chief and council, as well as government of Canada, and say, when we talk about economic development and employment opportunities, we need long-term commitments on this item so that we can attract back our members who are perhaps working someplace else. And of course, every opportunity we have, we must make sure it's sustainable, that it's successful, because it takes time and effort. So we must be really strategic and plan it out really well in order to achieve that success. And at Fezzeramp, we're starting to notice that now, where it was a simple idea of a gas station over 2 years ago. Now we're at the final stages of creating this thing and being able to employ 12 people immediately. So now the challenge is not so much the planning and implementation of it, now it's to prepare our people to take these jobs and be successful each and every week. And that transition from dependency on chief and councils over to independence, confidence, self-esteem in having that full-time job and making a difference in their families and their communities. And as a community navigator at Fezzeramp, I've seen this change take place over the last 2-3 years, and it's been really empowering. So as much as I can, I like to really talk about it to others, but as well to our own young people back home, that it's not an overnight change, but we're well underway. And it does help when more people work towards that same goal.
If we don't have employment for our people, how can we empower them to be independent, right? So how do we create jobs in our community? Like, and that's a big question mark for all First Nations communities across Canada, right? There's a few communities that are very successful, and looking at them, like highlighting like Whitecap and Osuyos Band, you know, like how do we in our communities, in our geographic areas, create jobs to support our band members so that they can be independent, right? And independent on themselves and depend on themselves, basically, right? How do we do that? Like, how do we empower them? So I know we focus on training and development a lot and education, which is good. And that's kind of was our foot in the door. I would say that has been our foot in the door for us to be employed. But before, I used to be a career counselor. And so when I was a career counselor, they say out of every First Nation person that goes to school, 1 out of 10 is employed in their area of study. 2 out of 10 are employed, but the other person is not employed in their area. So when I used to work for SIGA, I used to work at and go to different casinos, right? There's six geographical areas. A lot of my clients were well-educated people, but working as servers and waiters. So why are they underemployed? That is a question. You know, and that's a question that we got to take home and ask our community members, like, why are people not getting jobs? What's keeping them from being successful in the workforce and transitioning into the workforce from school to the workforce? And how can we support them, right? It's a big problem in our community because we have the highest unemployment rates in Canada. So how do we fix that, or how do we start increasing our numbers.
And they're not gonna go out there and work. There's a key piece missing, and I think that it comes down to like their personal well-being, whether that, like we need to start addressing those spiritual needs, those stopping them from working. Because like at my First Nation, we put on a lot of training and we do a lot of programs, but if those people are not willing to come out and to, take part in that, we're not gonna get anywhere. We need to get to the root of the problems, and a lot of it has to do with addictions. And yeah.
People, they get the job and they start out for the first couple weeks, or maybe the first week they're doing really well, but something happens, and then it becomes like a reaction. They're reacting to whatever is going on in their lives. And I think we see that in our communities too, because we're very reactive. Instead of planning, we end up reacting, and we're too busy putting out fires than to solve and resolve these issues.
Those are secondary services, and those are it's like most days it's impossible, even though they're there, but they have 9 other nations to attend to. So that's where it's so limited when it comes to economic development and all that jobs and training and stuff. And there's another thing where job and training is only for people that are in social assistance. So what about everybody else? And what about the kids in high school, programs for them? Even just to fill out surveys and stuff like that, employment resumes and getting their SIN numbers and everything. It's so much harder up north.
Need that has been identified, especially in the CCP process, now that some remote locations or some remote communities must put their priority at what's most important at this time, and that's where if there is an opportunity to reach out for economic development assistance or opportunities away from the community, that's one avenue, but as well to maybe tell Government of Canada that here's an opportunity to develop some economic development in the community, and that just takes some small investment. However, I think it's important to talk with the community members to see what is possible and see what economic activity might happen if people are allowed to go for it.
You're absolutely right. We can't force people to come to programs. We can't force people to come and fill out a survey. We provide those opportunities, right? It's up to them whether they come. And there's always something, I know in each and every one of us, that motivates us. And I think we have one common theme that motivates us in our daily, I know when I wake up in the morning, I wake up because it's for it's myself, it's for family, right? I want to go out and do good, right? And do good for my family. I know just sitting here listening because I was thinking about the little ones in my family. Okay, well, what if they were here, thinking about them? What could we, how would we proceed? So, everybody's kind of customized, I guess. Maybe we have to customize different things, right? Go and see, hey, what works for this family over here? What works for this family? Because they got some strengths over here that, they can maybe help over here with this family, or individuals, vice versa, right? So maybe we're customizing things. Maybe we're bringing in, a teacher program because we have, or admin assistant because we need all these admin assistants in Cody coming up in the next 5 years. So let's train some admin assistants because we need some really good admin staff. Then we need some teachers, right? We're hiring a lot of teachers that are not from the community. We've got to start, bring a teacher program into our community. Things like that, right? So just to, so the 2 pieces, I think, looking at customizing or, visiting with our membership and finding out what are their needs.
In the springtime, your lawnmowers have been sitting all winter and old gas, and you have to fix a small motor repair. I needed some items like a grass whip I needed to fix, and I just bought a riding lawnmower, and I need that. And my niece just happened to try to start up her rotor tiller, it wouldn't start. And my brother was chugging along with his riding, and it stopped on him. All these within a week. So she was looking for a small motor repair mechanic. I was, and my brother was, and we went to Prince Albert. There was this, I dropped off and picked up something, an item, because it took too long for her. She didn't want to wait 2 weeks to have her rototiller. She wanted the garden. And I was talking to one of the guys there. They've been backed up maybe 3 weeks in order to get your machine, 3 weeks. And this little guy happened to be from my community, you know. What about businesses within our community? As simple as, well, I can't say it's simple, but a small motor repair mechanic person within our community, you know, stuff like that. When we think about businesses, we think about, you know, industrial and stuff like that. But I thought that was, here we are, band members looking for, and it just so happens he works at Prince Albert.
And we make the discoveries that were always right there, but as a community navigator now comes to our attention and say, oh, well, this is something we can have in our community.
Yeah.
If we're able to build some capacity and have that commitment by 1 or 2 of our members to either be an employee or help manage it, we can start bringing these services to our communities, employing our own people. One thing that I always like to remind myself is, what is good for my grandson is good for me, and what is good for me is good for my grandson. So projecting ahead 5 to 10 years, what are we going to need? Small engine repair, vehicle repair, tires and oil, gardening services, all these things that we typically go someplace else for, pay someone else for, and then we take it back home for ourselves. So we can start planning and building from within to meet that need 5 to 10 years from now. Not everybody is ready for healing. Not everybody's ready for recovery yet. Or some are ready to go and they've gone through those processes already, those healing journeys already, and they're just looking for that next opportunity to go to school or get support to go to school or higher education. And I think that absolutely we need to identify, and through community navigated work, we definitely see people who are hurting, who want to contribute, but maybe all they have within right now is some pain and hurt, and that's what they're projecting forward. So absolutely, in a stream of this community development initiative is a big part of that is healing, because we have to be truthful with ourselves and our families. And then another piece of that is, of course, good governance, and then economic activity. So all these different streams are coming together, and as community navigators, we're hopefully becoming really educating ourselves and making ourselves aware of it so that we can foster communication about it, or to develop communication streams about it, so that we can encourage our people in this age demographic, 18 to 40 years old, to have hope, you know, dream again. And if we can only start getting a baseball team together, let's plan to get a baseball team together. Let's start somewhere. Healing takes many different forms and practices. And back in the old days, it used to be athletics, activity, physical challenges. And we've kind of gotten away from that lately. And I think if we as adults, we get back to challenge ourselves to do better, be healthier, that we can lead by example. And then we can start planning more things from there and get more people involved in planning physical activities and games.
You're saying that for me is those three. You need to know where you came from. You need to know where you are now. You need to plan where you want to be in the future. Those three things come to mind.
But the thing